Welcome to Birch and Sparrow. I'm Birch, and my wife is Sparrow, if you don't understand the moniker. My name is also John, and her name is JC, but we go by Birch and Sparrow because it's a cool umbrella name that we can put a lot of different things under, like in the future when we want to have merch and stuff like that, which may be coming up soon. We will see. But today I just wanted to take a minute. Hey, Kimber. Hey. I don't know if y'all can see Kimber here, but this is our dog. Or it's really my wife's dog, and I happen to buy her food and give her food and take care of her. I wanted to take some time today to explain kind of our philosophy and why it is that we're doing what we're doing, why we have a YouTube channel in the first place, and where we're headed, what we're moving towards. On the surface, it's pretty simple. When I think about what motivates me in life, when I think through what actually motivates me to take action, there are two things: family and freedom. At least this was true for most of my life. And recently, there's a third thing that also starts with F. I should call this video the 3 Fs. And that is my faith. But that's a topic for another video where I want to go into my testimony and why it is that I believe what I believe. And that is Christianity. I actually believe that Jesus Christ is the only hope for any individual human. But I'm going to put that in another video. Today I want to talk about these two things. Faith. Nope, not faith. Family and freedom. For a long time, I was a selfish single guy. And that leaves to sort of a vacuous existence, or at least it did for me. I'm one of those guys that needs purpose. I need something to drive me forward. If I don't have it, if I don't have some sense of motivation that comes from a profound why, I'm not going to do anything. I'd rather just sit around and eat graham crackers with peanut butter on them and watch movies. That is honestly what I wind up doing. That's not the image that I have of myself in my mind, but that's the reality of what winds up happening. And that didn't change for me really until last year, when I came to the realization that my grand search, or my search for a grand purpose, should really be turned homeward, and all of my energies in life could be directed towards the service of my family. And I don't know what it is. I don't know why it didn't resonate with my heart the day that I got married. I wish more than anything that it would have, but the truth is that it didn't. I was still in a selfish mindset. I wanted to serve myself. I wanted to live for myself. I wanted to fulfill my personal desires, and in so doing, bring my wife along, and hopefully give her a good life as we went. It's really a backwards way of thinking, and it's antithetical to the message of Christianity. But today, I find myself in a very different mindset. The way that I look at life now is I want to see how far I can go in devoting almost every moment of my life. I don't want to say every moment, because that may be too strongly worded, but almost every moment of my life to the service of my family. If I'm in that space mentally, I find that I wind up doing a lot more every day. I'm a lot more motivated. I have a lot more energy. I literally feel better, healthier. It's really strange. And I'm no new ager. I'm not one of those people that believes in that you can change your vibrational frequency, and as you do so, you ascend to higher forms of thinking. I don't think that. But I do think that there is something to the idea that how we choose to think affects literally our physical form, our physical reality. I don't know how to explain it all because I haven't looked into it deeply enough to have interesting things to say about it. But I think that there is something to you literally changing your physiology based on your mentality. And I say that because I've experienced it. I went from being a lazy, do nothing, sit around all the time guy to now being motivated every morning to get up and to do what I can to further the mission of my family, to push us forward one small step at a time. I'm not talking about leaps and bounds or anything here. But that change has really, it's done a lot. It's done a lot in a lot of areas. It has changed not only my ability to work on our house because I feel motivated to do it, and I instead of running into a barrier and stopping, I find ways around the barriers. I think of creative solutions to keep us moving forward. It just changes a lot of things. I also used to be a perfectionist, which now I kind of view as an excuse to not finish things. If you're a perfectionist, you always have a really convenient reason to stop where you are in doing something and to move on to the next thing. Because no project will actually ever be perfect, and therefore you can just get as far as you can while it feels good and then leave it in the dust and move on to the next thing because, well, it's never going to be perfect. It's never going to be what I want it to be. And that was me. That was my mentality. I'm ashamed to say this, but this is more of a confession than anything else. The other thing that I want to talk about is freedom. I'm talking about, and I know that this is going to be rambling and sort of a rant, but the other thing that I want to talk about is freedom. How that was a big motivator for me and is a motivator for me now in service of my family. In the past, the negative version of being motivated by freedom is just being a libertine, right? Or a libertarian even. That's like the political form of being a libertine. Where nothing is off limits. I want to be free to make whatever choice that I want. That's a satanic mentality. That is a mentality that pushes you further and further outside of the healthy boundaries that God has set up for your life. And I discovered that the hard way, in a way that I would never wish on my worst enemy. And again, I'll go into all these details in the future in a video that's specifically about faith. But I would like to just issue a warning to people that, look, if you are just determined to see how far you can go, you will succeed. You will go further than you ever thought possible. And what you will find at the end of the road is emptiness and loneliness and the deepest sense of filthiness that you can imagine. You will feel so dirty and alone that hopefully you will want to turn back. It tends to have one of two effects on people. Either you stop there and you turn around, or you're like, well, I've gone this far, so I'm nothing now, or I'm worthless now. I'm so dirty I can't go back. And so you keep going. I pray that you will not be that person, that you'll be the kind of person that hits that wall and turns around, or better yet, never hit the wall. Don't go there. But anyway, freedom, that's the negative version of freedom. That's the motivation of, I want to do whatever I want. I want to have all the choices in the world. And that is a version of life that a lot of people live. But it's empty at the end of the day. And you wind up alone. And you wind up sad. And you wind up feeling dirty. The other version of being motivated by freedom is being motivated by the freedom that God has created. And that version is, when God created the world, He decided that he would gift humanity with the freedom to decide for themselves who they would serve, what they would be. That's why the tree had to be present in the garden. It had to be there so that humans had a choice. If God said, I'm making humans and I'm giving them free will and I'm going to put them in this perfect garden where there's no possibility for them to deny me, to rebel against me, well, that's not real freedom, is it? That's making a robot that cannot choose to disobey you. And instead, he made us and then placed within the garden the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And that tree represents our ability to choose. And it made it a reality that we would be able to have a choice as to whether or not we would follow God or if we would disobey him and eat from the fruit of the tree. And of course, we all know the story. Eve was deceived and ate of the fruit, and then Adam went along with her, and he also ate of the fruit. And the story of humanity ever since has been one of choosing our path, choosing which way we would go, if we would follow God and his commandments and his natural order, or if we would follow our own desires. But that freedom itself, is a gift from God. It is an acknowledgement of the individuality of every single human being, and it is the thing that grants us dignity. We are dignified insofar as God views us as sovereign individuals and allows us to choose whether or not we will follow him, despite his ability to force us to do anything that he wants. He is all-powerful. He could come down and say, you're going to do what I say, period. I am more powerful than you. I can make you do anything I want. But he doesn't. He restrains himself, and he grants to us individuality. And in so doing, imbues to us the dignity of an individual, the dignity of our humanity. It's what we call our humanity. That kind of freedom, that is something that is worth pursuing. And it's only worth pursuing when it is in service of the one who granted it to us. So that's the kind of thing that I'm motivated by. That's the version of freedom that I'm motivated by now. I want to be as free as I possibly can within the boundaries, the safeguards that God has created to keep us from destroying ourselves. Because that's what God's law really is. It's a manifestation of his love. It's an ordered set of principles that keep us from derailing and destroying our own lives, because humans are naturally self-destructive. That's why we have all these different addictions and tendencies that are very self-destructive. And if you follow those, if you go the route of choosing the libertine version of freedom, you will wind up destroying yourself in some way, shape, or form. You will wind up in some kind of addiction that has a hold of you more than you have a hold of it. And this is the experience not just of me, but of literally tens of thousands of other people. Even here on YouTube, you can just go search for testimonies of people who became Christians, and almost every single one of them tells a similar story. Whether it's pornography, whether it's alcohol, whether it's cocaine, heroin, marijuana, like whatever, you pick the drug. Everyone winds up in an addiction, and the addiction winds up controlling their life, and instead of them controlling their lives, which is the original intent of them choosing that path. They thought, well, I'm just going to do what I want to do. And what it really winds up being is you become a servant to a slave, an actual slave to this thing that you thought you wanted so badly, and winds up destroying your life. But these are the things that I think about a lot. I know that this is a rant, and I know that I'm just kind of rambling through these things, but that's because I'm trying to get myself into the routine of expressing thoughts and expressing them as clearly as I possibly can on video, and also in person, because opportunities like that are beginning to show themselves in my life, and I want to have my thoughts ordered and laid out in a presentable manner, not necessarily following an outline, like bullet point for bullet point, but to just be able to sit down and say, like, here are my thoughts about these different topics. And all of these things, I am explaining all of this for the purpose of explaining why we are building the cheapest possible house that we can build and living the life that we are trying to get to the point of being able to live. As you can see, I'm currently at my parents' house. We rent from my parents. We pay them monthly because it is my parents' opinion and it is my opinion that it's way better if you have the option to pay money, keep money in your family. Give money to people that have your best interest at heart instead of giving it to some faceless, nameless company that does not care about you at all, where you are a number on a spreadsheet. So we pay them monthly while we take the remainder of the money that we have from my paycheck and we're basically dumping it into our property. We're getting a building ready to be able to live there. And we're not talking about a fancy building, guys. We're talking about a very, very rudimentary level of living. Nothing fancy whatsoever. But what we are doing in building that really cheap, not fancy cabin is we're creating a vehicle of freedom. And inside of that vehicle of freedom, which is the building that we're building, I'm going to place my family. And those that's what I'm talking about in this video, because freedom and family are my two foundational motivations. I want to provide for my family, and God has given it to me as a responsibility. And if I fail in that, then I fail as a husband and as a father. And I the only way that I see to do that today, without going into massive amounts of debt, which is a form of slavery, it's not freedom. Fun fact here, while we're talking about the expensive cost of housing, the word mortgage, mort meaning death, and gauge meaning contract. The word mortgage means death contract, because the only way to get out of it is to die. So that is the most codified version of slavery that I can possibly imagine. So if I went and got a mortgage, I would have to abandon my principle of freedom. And I can't do that. I want to, but I'm not that kind of a person. I can't let go of these things that are my guiding principles. Or at least, Lord willing, I hope that I'm never able to. I hope that I'm never the kind of person who will sell out. I hope that God gives me the strength not to be. Man, where am I? So, yeah, the building is a vehicle. It's a freedom producing vehicle that gets us out from under the oppressive thumb of interest rates and being concerned about whether or not the Federal Reserve is going to raise interest rates, raise the federal funding rate, which dictates the interest rates that your banks have to charge in order to get a return that keeps them cash flow positive. All of these things, all of the systems that exist in our society currently, if you look closely at the different business models that are set up, they are designed to enslave you in one way or another, and it's a voluntary form of slavery. You have to opt in. It's all contract law. You opt in on Facebook to give them all of your information so that they can what? Take it and sell it. You become their information slave so that they can take that information and on the back end use it to turn a profit. They turn you into a product that they can sell. With a mortgage, you are You're an interest producing slave so that the bank can turn a profit. Subscription models like Amazon Prime or Netflix or Hulu or Disney Plus or whatever, all subscription models are you literally subscribing, signing a piece of paper that says, I will give you money every single month for a specific amount of time. And yeah, I know that the details can vary from company to company. Like sometimes it's month to month, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's 12 months at a time. And when you sign on the dotted line, we take it as something that's like no big deal. But when you sign on the dotted line, you are swearing an oath. You are signing a contract and saying, I am willing to be legally bound to fulfill my side of this contract, which is to give the fruits of my labor to this company. That is a form of voluntary slavery. That is contributing your energy, your life force, your time that you spend to make money to pay that bill. That's what you're doing. You are paying your time to a company, and that's a form of slavery. So all of these things, I think about this stuff a lot, and honestly, I wish that I didn't see the world this way. I wish that I could be a good consumer, a good wage slave who was just like giddy at the opportunity of going to a job and paying my bills and having all the subscriptions and just entertaining myself to death until one day I die a very happy and completely ignorant 75-year-old who is living on a pension from some faceless corporation. I wish that I could view the world that way, but I can't. I can't honestly see it that way because I've seen into the system and I understand how it actually functions. And its primary focus is making you into a slave. It's turning you into a voluntary slave, which is very important because it's not being forced on you. People aren't holding a gun to your head, and Amazon's not coming to your home and saying, if you don't sign up for Amazon Prime, we will kill you or we will take your children. That's not happening. Which is better than the alternative. Granted, and we have a lot of great things that have come out of this system. But the question that you have to ask yourself is, what is the cost? What am I exchanging for Amazon Prime? What am I exchanging for Hulu? What am I exchanging for Disney Plus? What am I exchanging for Netflix? What am I exchanging for my whatever box of boutique soaps that I get every single month? What am I exchanging for my Stitch Fix? Is that what that company's called? Stitch Fix? The one that sends you clothes that are tailored to you? What are you paying for that with? And I think the answer a lot of the time is your time. You're paying with your very existence to have these conveniences. And at the end of the day, those things don't bring you fulfillment or a sense of purpose that makes your life feel like it is worth living. And if you instead took the time that you were spending on Stitch Fix or the time that you're spending on your Amazon Prime account and spent it on pursuing noble causes or on educating yourself, not for the sake of just being educated, but educating yourself in such a way so as to be capable of fighting back against these forms of voluntary slavery. Sorry if this is probably really loud. There's a giant dump truck going by. I'm just going to wait a second. Okay, you can probably hear me again. If you instead spent your time, your precious time, it's the only non-renewable resource that you have. If you spent that time on other things, on time with your family, and on time with the people that really matter to you, I think you'd find a lot more fulfillment in your life. My wife and kids have been gone for a couple of weeks visiting family while I've been working on our house, and it's been a real sacrifice, and it's affected me a lot because I miss them terribly, and I wish that I could be spending this time with them. But I have counted the costs, and what I realized was I'm exchanging this period of time that they are gone for a lot of gains on getting our building / home completed, which will return dividends in time together. Anyway, I don't really want to rant a lot more than I already have. I know this is way longer than I expected it to be, and honestly, I've rambled a lot more than I wanted to. But I wanted to sit down without an outline and just give an honest, an honest take of why it is that we're doing what we're doing. For me, what it boils down to, as you can see, if you've listened this long, is my family and our freedom. And those are the through lines that you'll see, I think, in our content that we put out, in our videos that we make, and in the future, and when we make products to sell them and stuff. I want you to understand that that's why we're doing it. I don't want you to just be buying junk from us just so that I can make $1. I don't care about that. I would only ever sell a product so that it would produce freedom in my life in the form of time that I can then spend on my family, or on generating even more freedom, or on making it possible for me to spend my time in helping others and helping them to gain some freedom in their lives. I don't know if I don't know exactly what route the content is going to take on our channel, or what kind of stuff we're going to make, but occasionally I do want to just sit down and talk and explain myself a little bit, or give my thoughts on things that are going on in the world and why those motivate me to do what it is that we're doing on our property, which is get out of town. Get out of towns, literally, where there are lots of people, and get to a place where you are in a strong financial position of having no debt, so that you can provide for yourself, and if the times require it, be a safe haven for others. We need now more than ever strong men in the world. We desperately need good, strong men who lead their homes with love and truly provide for their families, so that when times get tough, those strong family units can reach out to others and help those who need it. So anyways, that's all for today, guys. I know this is a long video. If you're here still at the end, I really appreciate you taking the time, and I hope that I have given some form of an explanation, or of some form of insight into why it is that we are doing the things that we are doing. If you're interested, or if you're a like-minded person, please drop a comment. Let me know that you exist. The comments are always super encouraging, because you know that someone took the time to write something, and I love responding to comments. It's a real connection that you get to have with someone, and it's super encouraging just to know that there are other people out there that agree with what you're doing. So leave a comment, like, maybe subscribe, if you are interested at all in the same things. And until next time, God bless.